Hari Om. We have discussed the first six mantras of the Purusha Sukta in our earlier sessions, and we have seen that Purusha Sukta gives a description of the spiritual unity of the universe because it asserts that everything here, Idam, has originated from Adam. And Adam is what? It is actually the Purusha. And even one of his names in Vishnu Sahasranama is Vishwareta. So that indicates that he is the seed of everything. From him, everything has come. And one more aspect of Purusha we have seen, he is Vishwavyapi as well as Antaryami. Both these things are there. The Purusha's Sankalpa of creation causes the projection of the universe in space and time. Whatever space and Kala we see is all because he is projecting it like a movie for us, and we are part of that. The first four mantra of Purusha Sukta, they define and describe the Purusha. The first mantra introduces his omnipresence and his all-encompassing nature. He is poetically described as having thousands of eyes, thousands of legs, thousands of feet. So, and he is enveloping the universe from all sides and transcending it, going beyond it by 10 fingers. Or you can also say is transcending in 10 directions or 10 dimensions. We have seen the difference in the two. In the second mantra, he is described as the one who transcends time as well as space, meaning the entire creation. All manifestations in the past, the present, and the future are held to be the Purusha alone. Again, we can very easily relate this aspect of the Purusha to his name from the Vishnu Sahasranama, and that name is Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. That exactly describes in one word the second mantra of Purusha Sukta. In the third mantra, his glory is considered to be even greater than what can be described in the Purusha Sukta. Only a small part of him becomes comprehensible to us, and a large part of him remains unknown in the heavenly realms. So, even that aspect of Purusha is seen from the names in Vishnu Sahasranama. And the names that come to my mind are Agrahya and Aprameya. They are the names which describe this aspect of the Purusha. You can never understand him. You can never catch him. You can never get hold of him. In the fourth mantra, it is explained that the Purusha transcends the entire creation and a part of him manifests again and again as both Jada and Chetana. The fifth mantra, it is about the Virat. It explains the first step of creation. This starts with the evolution of Virata as the astral body of the Purusha. This all-encompassing nature is evident in the very first name of Vishnu, Vishwam. Vishwam Vishnurva Shatkaro. So the first name itself brings out this quality of Virata. So omnipresent intelligence of Virata manifests itself as Devas and Pancha Mahabhutas. The sixth mantra, which we saw in the earlier sessions, it connects the Purusha to the concept of Yajna. It emphasizes that all offerings, all sacrifices are ultimately dedicated to him. So there are many names in Vishnu Sahasranama to show that he is the Yajna himself. You can very easily recall names like Hiranyagarbha, Hiranyanabha, Sahasrarchi, Saptajivha, Saptaidhaha, Saptavahana, all mean fire, Yajna itself. So this aspect of Purusha, which is there in the sixth mantra, is brought out in so many names in Vishnu Sahasranama. There is a very close linkage between the Vishnu Sahasranama, the Purusha Sukta, the 11th Adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita, as well as the 15th Adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita. So it is very nice to keep seeing this correlation. Now, the Devas who had come in the first phase of creation, they had resolved to continue the task of creation in the form of a yajna. This is something like stars forming all the elements by nuclear fusion. We had seen this aspect earlier. The Purusha himself is the Yajna as well as the Havishya. Havishya means the offering in the Yajna. This is so nicely again captured in one of the names in Vishnu Sahasranama, which calls him Bhrajishnur Bhojanam Bhokta. He is Bhojana as well as Bhokta. In a yajna of this massive universal scale, the spring season, Vasanta, is Ajya, that became the ghee. The summer season, Grishma, it became Idma, Indana, fuel. The autumn, Sharad Rutu, became the offering grain because there is a lot of grain, Havishya. I can't resist correlating this aspect of the names again to Vishnu Sahasranama. See the names Rutu, Sudarshana, Samvatsara. So, cycle of seasons, Samvatsara, the year itself, they all indicate the Purusha, the names of Vishnu. Today, we will discuss the next six mantras. And out of these six mantras, the first four of these describe the process of the yajna. We follow almost the similar process in most of the havan and yajna that we do in most of our ceremonies. And that exactly happened at that time symbolically. So, what that symbology means, we'll see. In the subsequent mantra, that is the 11th mantra, Narayana Rishi, who is the preceptor of this yajna, who is the preceptor of this Purusha Sukta, he wonders, it's such a mammoth yajna, mammoth, some physical persona of the Purusha. He says, what could be his hands, what could be his feet, what he would actually look like. So this is a kind of a rhetoric question he is asking in the 11th mantra. And the answer to this comes immediately after this, the 12th mantra. This mantra, 12th one, it mirrors the persona of the Purusha as an image of our society. Now, this particular mantra is criticized by many people due to a lack of their understanding. And we will try to understand this and put it in the correct perspective. And it is our duty to spread this word to and clear this misunderstanding as far as we can. Now, let us see the seventh mantra of which is the mantra we have to start with today. Tam yajnam bahirshi praukshan purusham jatamadratha tena deva ayajanta sadhya rushayaschaye. So, there is a little, before I proceed with the word meaning and the literal meaning, I just want to bring out a small fact. There is a little difference in the arrangement of mantras of the Purusha Sukta in the Rigveda Sahita and the Yajurveda Sahita. We are studying here the Rigveda Sahita, and in this version, this is the seventh mantra. But in the Yajurveda Sahita, which has got 24 mantras, this one goes to the 15th serial, and this one goes to the 8th serial. And the 15th mantra of Yajurveda Samhita comes at this place in the Yajurveda Samhita. So there's a little interchange of serial order of the mantras. However, the Tatparya, the core meaning of the Purusha Sukta does not change. So we'll stick to one version of the Purusha Sukta, that is the Rigvediya version of Purusha Sukta, and go along. Let us first see, as we have been doing, the word meaning. Tam. Tam means him. Yajna. Yajnam, we have discussed this aspect so many times. Bahirshi, on the kusha grass mat. Whenever you do yajna, the Guruji tells us to get darbha grass. And darbha grass is used as a seed. For even in Shraddha, it is used as a seed for the Pitru and Devas. And it is used as the seed for your own self. You tie darbha grass to your finger and to your own self. So this is a darbha grass, bahirshi, and a mat is made of it. And on this word bahirshi is the saptami vibhakti, that is in, on, or about. That's how it is on the kusha grass mat. Bahirs is the kusha grass. Praukshan purusham. Pra, ukshan, and purusha. That is how this word is made. Pra is forward or in front. Uksha. Ukshan is sprinkling. Praukshan, what we say in Marathi, and Purusha is the divine person. So it is the Praukshan of Purusha done from the front. Now Jata Agrata. Let us see what is Jata is one who is born. Agratas, one big in the beginning or in the first, and Tena by him. So Ayajanta means performed the sacrifice. It is in the past tense. So Ayajanta. Yaj is sacrifice. And Sadhya, they are sort of devas only. And Rushaya, Cha is and Rushi is Rushi. And Ye, all those who. So Jata Magrata is the one who is the firstborn, and the rest of the words we have seen. Now let us see first the literal meaning of this particular mantra. So the Devas and the Sadhyas began the Uttara Srushti, wherein the Purusha, who is referred to as the Jata Magrata, what he did, he himself became the ritual offering. He became the Havis. Now, prior to this, the Purusha was consecrated, anointed by sprinkling of holy water with darbha, Bahirshi Praukshan Purusham. He was kept on the darbha mat and Praukshan was done. So this is what we do for all yajna samagri, all puja samagri. So exactly the same procedure was done. And then what happened? The Deva, the Sadhya, the Rishis, they Sadhya Rushaschaye. So Sadhyas and Rishis, they are the ones who they offered him oblation. Tena Ayajanta. So the Purusha is described as the one who came into being right at the beginning, Agrata, and he is identified as the Yajna itself. The first line here describes the activity before the start of the yajna. All the puja samagri, all the havish, all even the pashu which has to be sacrificed is tied to the dharma yupa, sacrificial post, by consecrating it by doing prokshana. Now this prokshana and sanctifying, it symbolizes a commitment to an established practice in pursuance of dharma. Bhagwan Narayana, the Purusha, is himself the offering. He also symbolizes the Dharma. So, Dharma Yupa here would mean the immutable principles. Yupa is post, so immutable, which can't be moved. Immutable principles of Dharma, which firmly stand like a post. So, one of the names of Vishnu is also like this in Vishnu Sahasranama, Dharma Yupa. And that shloka is Anirvinnash Thavishto Bhur Dharma Yupo Mahamakha. So his names are Dharma Yupa and Mahamakha also. Dharma Yupa is the sacrificial post. So he is the principal, firm one from which one you can't move. And Mahamakha, that means he is the one to whom the sacrifice is to be given. So he is both the one who is sacrificed and one who is also accepting the sacrifice. So the articles used in the yajna are placed on the darbha grass. Now we don't pay so much of attention, or it's probably not done in so detail. There are supposed to be 3 layers of darbha grass on which this material, all the yajna samagri, puja samagri is placed. Now why 3 layers? Because the 3 layers represent the 3 states of consciousness. And then we do prokshana. We all are aware. The Guruji always says, Apavitra pavitrova sarvavastha gatopiva yat smaret pundarikaksham swabhayabhyantara shuchi. So this is what exactly was done by the Purusha, though he himself was accepting all the havishya. Now, darbha is believed to purify offerings, and it is used in various ceremonies, including yajna, shraddha, puja, in various things. The Purusha, who appeared even before the Devas, was placed on the darbha mat and consecrated with water. In Rig Veda, the word yajna does not always mean sacrifice or ritual. It means the Purusha himself. Vishnu is also referred to as yajna. It can mean devotion, honoring, prayer, and not just sacrifice. Even the person who is performing the yajna, worshipper, he is also called yajna. We have all heard this phrase, yajnena yajnam ajanta devaha. So that expresses this concept, exactly what we have described earlier. Now, the yajna here is manasa yajna. By devotion, that is by yajna, the Purusha and the Devas came into being. So this is the manasa yajna. Let us go ahead and see what is the implication. The next line of the mantra speaks about the performance of the yajna, those who perform this yajna. Now, the earliest among the devas are sadhyas. You have heard this in the mantra Pushpanjali, sadhyas santi devaha. So they were the early, they were the ones, they were the who were the devas earlier. The word sadhya means one who is accomplished. They are considered to be dwelling in the bhuvar loka. Now there's bhu loka, bhuvar loka, swarga loka. Now, if there is Swarga and Bhu, what is Bhuvar Loka in between? I will not go into it now because it is going to come in one of the mantras at a later stage. They are supposed to be staying in the Bhuvar Loka. They are the prana of Prajapati and they are instrumental in the process of creation at the beginning. So, in this mantra, what all we have seen? We have seen those who are performing the yajna and what all they did before the yajna started. So it is exactly what we do in our pujas, in our yajnas, in our ceremonies. So this mantra describes these two aspects of the Srushti Yajna. Now let us come to the next mantra of Purusha Sukta. Tasmad yajnat sarvahutah sambrutam prushadajyam pashunstan shatre vayavyan aranyan gramyaschaye. So let us see the word meaning. From the Sarvahuta is complete offering. From the complete offering of his yajna, that is the meaning of this compound word. Sambhrutam came forward, produced. It came out of the yajna. Like when Dashratha did a yajna, that pious came out. So here also something came out. Sambhrutam. That means it came out. So what came out? Prushadajam. Ghee mixed with yogurt. In our earlier sessions, we have understood the word ajam. Ajam is ghee, and prushad is fermented milk, virzan घातलेला milk. So dahi mixed with yogurt, dahi mixed with ghee. That is prushad ajam. Pashun stan chakre. Chakra is a series, chakra is a cycle of creation, and Tan thereafter, Pashun, a series of animals came thereafter. Vayavyan, Aranyan, animals of the air and animals of the forest. Vayavya is relating to air and Aranya relating to forest. And Gramyascha and animals which live close to the village. So all these people, all these entities, they came out of this yajna. Now, let us, from the complete of, so if I, from this word meanings, if I just collate the meaning, it comes out from the complete offerings of his yajna was obtained ghee mixed with dahi called Prushadajya. From Prushadajya came animals of the air and of forest and those that live near the villages. Now, what is this in between thing Prushadajya, dahi mixed with ghee? We'll take a little look at it. In the olden times, Prushadajya was an offering of dahi mixed with ghee. And it also came out as a samrutam. It also came out as a result of the yajna. So we need to take a look at what exactly it is. This was offered to the yajna and the blessings of the yajna also were related to the offering. So Prushadajya was offered. Prushadajya was one of the things that came out of the yajna. Now, what does Purushadajya represent? Purushadajya represents Shukra and Shonita, that is sperm and ovum. Now, So that brought forth the creation of living beings, Pashun Tan Chakre. So this is the logic behind having the Purusha Dharya here. Even in the Genesis 1.2 to 1.24, it describes the creation of animals. Genesis is the Old Testament Bible. It says, let the water teem with living creatures. Let the birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals. So, this is a very gross description. Why we will see? Because here it is a more detailed and meaningful description in the Purusha Sukta. Now, to understand this, sometimes earlier we have spoken of the Purusha and the three Purushas emerging from the Chaturmukha Brahma from Srushti Nirman. The first was Veda Purusha, from whom evolved all the knowledge. The second was Chanda Purusha, from whom evolved mind and culture. And Sharira Purusha, from whom evolved all the living creatures. So we saw three entities representing the body, mind, and intellect. BMI complex, which is popularly known nowadays. So, three Purushas in detail we discussed earlier. Now, this mantra has described the creation of animals by the Sharira Purusha. Let us discuss this aspect a little more in detail so that we understand that it really corresponds to the narrative of modern science. Now, there is a scientific basis that all life originated from single cell creatures. The principles of evolution believe that some 600 million years ago, multicellular organisms they formed in the oceans from the single cells. Then they developed, there was emergence of some diversity, and it was something called Cambrian explosion. A lot of new creatures came up. Then about 500 million years ago, plants and fungi, they all came and they colonized the land. And then what happened? Afterwards, amphibians came. And then about 350 million years ago, birds and mammals came. And about 100 or 130 million years ago, the primates came, the gorillas, chimpanzees. And only 250,000 years ago, they say the Homo sapiens, the human beings appeared. So what we see in science is a progression from single cell, multicellular, more complex creatures, and then more and more complex creatures. So we see a progression from simple to more complex forms of life. The simpler forms, they relied on asexual production, like the amoeba. It simply breaks up into two and it reproduces itself. It doesn't require two sexes, but it is not a highly developed creature. While the advanced forms of life, they adapted to sexual forms of reproduction. Now let us see what is described in the Bhagavad Purana. We saw now the narrative of science. Let us see what is in the Bhagavad Purana. It is said that Chaturmukha Brahma was the chief priest at a yajna of creation, where Purusha was both the yajna and the Havish himself. Now, when Brahma he did this yajna, he got the authority, he got the power to create from this Purusha yajna. So initially, Brahma thought, I will create things by my buddhi only. So he started creating for just creation's sake, making no distinction between good and bad or between material or spiritual. He just started creating. He first started to create through his sankalpa, his resolve, I will create. The first creatures that were formed, because of that attitude itself, they were formed from tamas. They were creatures of darkness. Uh, these included lower organisms, unicellular creatures, plants, trees, shrubs, and then worms, all these small, simple creatures. Now, Brahma was not happy with this state of creation. So he, thought like a good architect, he said, I must get a perfect being. So he produced four Manasa Putras. And those four Manasa Putras, they were Sanad, Sanatan, and Sanat Kumar. Now they were so perfect, they were only interested in tapas. They were not interested in the job of procreation. And they didn't want to help their father in carrying forward the process of procreation. Now Brahma was angry. Now he said, I'm not going to do any more creation. And he just sat down. And through his anger, because of his anger, from his thighs and from his hair on the back, there jumped out demons. Demons formed out and they went to eat Brahma. So they were named as Yaksha because they went to eat him. And to protect these people, some other creatures also came out and they tried to protect him. So they were called Rakshas. They became Rakshasas later. At this stage, Brahma's creation came to a grinding halt. He said, I am not going to do it anymore. He had reached a state of helplessness and limit of his thought. So he just was helpless and his furrowed his brow and looked around. And through his furrowed brow, who came? The mighty Rudra came. Tat Purusha, Shiva, he formed. And Shiva came in the form of Ardhanarishwara, in which he shared his body with his consort, Devi Parvati. Now, the form of Ardhanarishwara then separated into the divine male and the divine female. And these were made available to Brahma. And he got the idea to continue creation with the help of the male and female of the species. So the emergence of the Purushadajya, that is Dahi and Ghee from the Yajna, symbolizes the sperm and the ovum. This marks the transition from the lower forms of asexual production to the place where sexual production comes in. And why sexual production was brought in by Brahma? Because mutations that happen, they happen at a slower rate. The species adapt and stabilize to the conditions over a period, and errors in replication of the genetic material, they are minimized. So this is what the modern science tells us, and this is what the Bhagavad Puran tells us, and this is exactly what, in short, Purusha Sukta told us, that Purushadajya came. So it means sexual form of reproduction also started. So this is the meaning of this particular mantra. So with that, let us now move on to the next mantra. तस्माद् यज्ञात् सर्वहुतः रुचः सामानि जज्ञिरे छन्दांसि जज्ञिरे तस्मात् यजुस्तस्मात् अजायत. So let us see the word meaning. Tasmad yajna sarvahuta, complete offerings of this yajna. Tasmad, from him. Yajna sarvahuta, offered entirely. Rucha, the Rigveda. Samani, Samaveda. Jadnire, were born. Chandansi, Vedic poetic meters. And Yajus means Yajurveda. Now, in short, it means from the offering of Virat's Yajna were born Rigveda and Samaveda. The Chandas, the Vedic meters, and the Yajurveda were also born from him. The process of creation is not limited to mere objects and animals. Introduction of knowledge, that is Veda, culture, Chanda, makes the entire society healthy and robust because the Purusha is not just an individual, he represents the entire society. So now let us see. I won't go more than this in this particular mantra because we will see the next mantra. We will link it up. The next mantra says, Tasmadashva ajayanta eke chobhadayadat eke chobhayadat gavo hajadnire tasmad jnata ajavaya. So we'll see what it means. Tasmad ashva, from him the horses. Ajayanta, were born. K, any animals. Chobhayadata, cha ubhayadata. Cha is and, ubhayadata, having both sets of teeth, jaws. So we have two upper and lower jaw. all animals don't have teeth like that. So cho bhaya data means animals having both upper and lower set of jaws. Gavo, cows, they don't have the upper set of teeth. Ha, ha is used for emphasis. Tasma jata, that means from him were born. Ajavayaha, goats of all types. Aja is goat, Vayas is animals of different types. So this is the meaning. Now, Vedic literature states that goats were born out of the face of the creator, and a sheep from the chest, cows from the stomach, and horse came from his feet. It is said that a goat can be considered to represent a state when the sun has not yet risen. Sheep is supposed to represent the state when sun is just rising. This state probably represents the state when one has just become conscious of what actually he requires in the world. The sun of knowledge, Jnana Surya, had just dawned upon him. The cow is supposed to be fully grown state of the sun. Cow has been stated to have been born out of the stomach of the creator. The stomach receives food from outside world and converts it to energy for the entire body. That's what cow does for us. It also stores the energy. A horse is supposed to be the setting sun. It may probably represent the withdrawal of consciousness from our senses. And a man is considered to control, uh, and a man is considered to be at the stage of the setting sun. This stage is supposed to control all the previous stages. This is something like the bone marrow, majja, which controls all the functions in the body. It is said that various sages are associated. It is said that various sages are also associated with these creatures. For example, Jamadagni is associated with the goat, Vasishtha is associated with the sheep, that is the state of the rising sun. The state of the cow is represented by Gautama, and the state of the horse is represented by Vishwamitra. So, this mantra also indicates the evolution of various sages and their schools of thought. Having seen the yajna of such gigantic proportions and its mammoth outcomes, one wonders about the physical attributes of this yajna Purusha. So many things are coming out. Such a huge yajna is going on. So exactly what does it look like? And this exactly is the question which Narayana Rishi has posed in the next mantra. And that mantra is Yat Purusham Vedadu Kathida Vekalpayan Mukham Kimasya Kaubahu Kauru Pada Uchyate. So the word meaning is Yat Purusham. What did the Purusha? Yat, who, which, what, Purusha, referring to Virat, Vyadadhu, we and Adhadhu, hold within him. Vi is the prefix and dha is to hold or maintain. Katidha, in how many places or how many parts. Vyakalpayan, vi and kalpa were assigned. Vi is the prefix and kalpa is to imagine or assign. Mukham, mouth. Kimasya, what was his? Cow is dvivachan because they have two arms, it is cow. Bahu is arms. Ka, what is uru? That is thigh. Ka padaha. Now ka padaha is feet and uchyate, what suitable. Uch is to be suitable, to suit or fit. So the Purusha, the answer to this comes in the next sloka. The Purusha is a representation of the complete society. What does it say? What did the Purusha hold within him? How many parts were assigned to his huge form? What was his mouth? What were his arms? What were his thighs? And what were his feet? So the answer to this comes in the next mantra. Brahmanosya mukhamasid bahu rajanya kruta Uru tadasya yadvaishya padabhyam shudro ajayat. Now, this is that mantra which has been criticized, which has been brought into a lot of discussions. Now, what does it say simply? It says the Brahmans were his mouth, the Kshatriyas became his arms, the Vaishyas were his thighs, and Shudras were born of his feet. Padabhyam Shudro Ajayata. Now, let us see the word meanings and then go into the discussion about this particular mantra. Brahmanosya, the Brahmans were his. Asya, Brahmans, Asya, his. Mukham Asid, mouth, us to become, became his mouth. Bahu, arms. Rajanya, Krutaha, were made. Uru, thighs. Tadasya, those of his. Tat is that. Asya is his. And Yad Vaishya, his thighs became Vaishya. Yad Vaishya, Yad, whose, and Vaishya, traders. Padabhyam, to his feet. Pada is foot. Shudra is working class. Ajayata, from the feet. Ajayata, were born. Working class, that is Shudra. Jan, Ajayata is the past tense of Jan is the root. From that past tense is were born. Ajayata. So, Purusha Sukta, let us discuss this now. The Purusha Sukta, एक minute, The Purusha Sukta is an analogy between the limbs of the body identified symbolically with the society and the four Varnas. The organic view of society was explained by comparing the Brahmans, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra with the head, the hands, the legs, and the feet. Now, the health of the body, it requires the health of all organs. Just because it is a feet, will you be happy if the if feet gets pricked by a thorn? No, that is not the case. The health of the body requires the health of all organs. Conversely, the pain in one limb is the pain in the entire body. So the aim of this social stratification is not to show someone as low and someone as high. It is just based on the function and not based on birth. And people will say you are just trying to whitewash what is written here. But then we'll discuss this in a little more detail, as I said. This is the simple fact that social stratification simply includes functional divisions. Now, see, the word pada is used here in the sense of being representative of the complete person in a polite and honorific manner. Now, for example, great people are referred to as Bhagavad Pada, Namami Bhagavad Pada Shankaram, Namami Narayana Pada Pankajam. You offer all your offerings on the feet of the God. You refer to his Paduka. So Pada is not actually the feet of the Purusha. Pada represents the entire Purusha himself. So it is a representative of the complete being, and not to say that is the lower part or some unimportant part of the Purusha. All devotional offerings are made at the feet of the deity. So the reference of someone at the feet of the Purusha is not with a derogatory intent. Linking this is allegory. Purusha Sukta is allegory. It's a kind of like parables, like Bible also it speaks in terms of parables. So you can't link this allegory to the hereditary caste system. Now caste is quite different. People confuse these two words, Varna and Jati. Jati means Ja is birth. So one where you are born, that is Jati. But Varna, these are Varna. Varna is not where you are born. But Varna and Jati, they are poles apart. Now, while Varna is based on the functional role of a person, the Jati is a post-Vedic concept based on birth. So Maharshi Manu, he proclaims flexibility of Varna in the growth. He says Varnas are not fixed, they are flexible. Now, what all does he say and what is proclaimed in the Manusmriti, we will see here. Veda proclaim that all human beings should move forward in unison without distinction on the basis of birth. And that is why Manusmriti says, Shudro Brahmanat meti Brahmanaschaiti Shudratam Kshatriya Jatam Evam tu Vidyat Vaishyat Tathaivacha. This is what the Manusmriti clarifies. A Shudra can become a Brahman by acquiring the guna and karma and swabhava. A Brahman lacking the guna, karma, swabhava becomes a Shudra. Now, these principles also hold good for the Kshatriya and Vaishya for their migration from one Varna to the other. A perusal of the complete Manusmriti will reveal that there are many paradoxes in Manusmriti. We have many noble commandments and some profound philosophies is also there. And there are some verses which are quite objectionable. But then Maharshi Manu is totally opposed to any Jativada. He considers Veda as the final authority. He says Vedo Kilo Dharma Moolam. Whereas, however, we find now we spoke of contradictory verses in the Manusmriti. Say, let us see this. When any writer he writes something, he generally will avoid self-contradictory statements. So, is it logical to assume that Maharishi Manu made self-contradictory statements in the Manusmriti? A man of such profound understanding won't make contradictory statements. So, what has happened? In certain verses, women and Shudra have been eulogized while they have been looked down upon. So the important question is, when even ordinary writers don't do this, is it logical to consider that Manu did this? In the present day Manusmriti, there are lot of interpolations which have been made from time to time. And these interpolated verses were written in a different style and they are irrelevant and out of context. Swami Dayanand Saraswati has quoted extensively from original Manusmriti, and in his works he says that there are a lot of interpolations. Dr. Gupta, one of the very famous persons who did a research on this, he says out of the 2,685 verses in the Manusmriti, 1,471 are interpolations while 1,214 are original. Now, you will say, how do you come to this conclusion? The criteria adopted for this is Vishaya Virodh. There is a contradiction in the subject matter. A writer won't do this in his own work. Prasanga Virodh, contextual contradiction, context is different and you are writing something different. Antar Virodh, internal contradiction is there. Punarukti, repetition is there. Shaili Virod, contradiction in the grammatic style. Avantar Virod. Avantar Virod is accretion of unwanted material. Now, since Manu believes the final authority of Vedas, so he won't put the Avantar Virod in this. He won't write anything that is Avantar. The Mahabharata says that a man cannot be a Brahman on account of his family. Even a Chandala who exercises restraint and has a good conduct is a Brahmana. So Manu won't do this. These have been interpolated later on. So Veda Virod also Manu won't do. Now, there are many instances where the children of non-Brahman parents in Vedic times of becoming Brahman by virtue of their merit, action, learning, and temperament, guna, karma. So, let's see the examples. Jabali of the Chandogya Upanishad, whose birth lineage was unknown. His mother was a prostitute. He became a Brahman. His mother told him, tell your teacher, my mother doesn't know who is my father. So he said that plainly and he was accepted. He became a Brahman. Sage Vishwamitra was born in a Kshatriya family, but he became a Brahmarshi. Now, Sage Matanga, he belonged to a Chandal family, but he became a Brahman and he is called a Rishi. Manusmriti has dozens of verses changing Brahmins to Shudra for neglecting their duties and changing Shudra to another group based on their merit and action. Now, there are many historical examples of change of Varna. For example, Kavasha Ailusha is the son of a slave woman. Vatsa, such a famous Rishi, is the son of a Shudra woman. He became a Rishi and he composed many verses in the Rigveda. Maharshi Valmiki was a lowly born but acquired the fame as Adi Kavi. A slave woman's son, Vidura, became Prime Minister of Dhritarashtra and came to be known as Mahatma. Even Sri Rama and Krishna were not Brahmins. They are now considered as gods. They were born in Kshatriya and Yadav family. So all this is bringing is the Varna is not decided on the birth. So it is decided on the function. On the other hand, you see Ravana. Ravana was born in a Brahmana Kula, in the clan of Pulatse Rishi. He came to be known as a Rakshasa due to his evil deeds. Now, Raghu is the Raghukula, that is the Vamsha of Sri Rama. Raghu is the ancestor of Sri Rama. He had a son named Pravruddha. He was outcast from the Kshatriya clan because of his misdeeds and he became a demon. Trishanku, originally a king, he became a Chandala. So all these again and again I am quoting. So there is flexibility in Varna depending on your karma, jnana and guna swabhava. So many of Vishwamitra's sons, they have become Shudra. The caste system is a social problem, but it is not created by Manusmriti. It has not been created by Purusha Sukta. The etymology of the word Shudra, what does Shudra mean? Shuchad Dravati iti Shudraha. So Shuchad Dravati iti Shudraha means one who, and put that in bracket, one whose heart melts, Dravati, on seeing the dukkha of others, he is Shudraha. So basically, to be a human being, you have to be a Shudra first, and then only you can rise to the other levels or change your levels. Now, this is an essential quality of all human beings. It is not a quality of being something lower. The Manusmriti, it declares very unequivocally. It says, Janmana Jayate Shudra Karmana Vija Uchyate. So the Manusmriti does not place any Varna as high or low, and Jati Pratha as distinct from Varna is a social evil. And we cannot blame the Purusha Sukta for the Jati Pratha. So the Purusha Sukta, the Vedas, the Manusmriti, they are flawless. Social evils come up due to various other reasons. That is beyond this. So now, this particular thing has been expressed so nicely by the 15th century Gujarati saint poet, that is Narsi Mehta. He says, Vaishnava Janato Tene Kahiye, Pid Parai Jane Re, पर दुखे उपकार करे तो मन अभिमान न आने रे. I think this in essence brings out what we want to discuss about the last mantra, and we have come to the end of our time. Let us listen to the piece of this beautiful bhajan and then stop.
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे. पर दुखे उपकार करे पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए मन अभिमान नाने रे. वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे. काछ मन निश्चल राखे, धन धन जननी तेनी रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए, जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे।
प्रणाम।